Welcome back. I'm OK Fixer. When you step out of my house, and I have my house at about 78. It's like an oven out here. The air is just fat. It's just crazy how hot it is. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try to get this in the garage. And looks like our handy wrap seemed to work pretty good. That was a good idea. So we'll get that off of there and try to get this through that gate. Well, what do you want to tackle next? I think probably we'll finish up the rear end. I've got a tap for those nuts. I'm going to tap those. Engine's going to have to come out. Transmission's going to have to come back out. I got a new transmission mount for the back. We got to fix the engine, of course. Drive axles? Probably rebuild those CV shafts right there. I didn't buy new ones. Those had grease in them and the boots weren't broken. So probably they're good. The German ones are a lot better than the Chinese ones, as I can remember. Maybe they're building better ones now, but they weren't when I was a kid. This is pretty good shape still. The towers aren't rotted. Usually sometimes they're rotted there. The ones from up north. Just the floor pans on this one. So we don't have a lot of rot in it. Okay, let's do that. I'm not doing floor pans until I get everything done on the chassis. Then I'll probably do floor pans and then probably the engine. So we're going to do tap those, or not tap them, but run a die on them. And we're going to put our drive axles on, and we're going to put a new motor mount back there. And then I think what I'll do is the nastiest thing, and the nastiest thing is going to be ball joints, so I'll probably do ball joints. Okay, lots of work and lots of heat. I've been buying a lot of stuff for fear that that the flu will continue. The epidemic will continue. And if that happens, finding stuff is going to be hard. So I'm going to buy everything I need to try to get this car on the road now, and that way I can work on it. Also, I'm going to have some shoulder surgery done in November, and that's going to put me out of commission for a while. So you know, then I'll have this stuff here, and then I won't be worrying about it later. Anyways, let's talk about some tools that I bought. One tool I bought was this nice little die right here, and this is for those threads right there that I boogered up cutting the old nuts off. Now all I have to do is they're not boogered up too bad. I just have to chase them. Now I don't have any kind of holder to hold that, but I think if I put a pipe wrench on there, it shouldn't booger it up too bad. Like I said, all I have to do is chase those threads. I can't remember what size that was. There you go. 24 by 125. No, 24 by 1.5. So 24 millimeter by 1.5 thread pitch. I think that was $25, but that's a very handy tool to have, especially if you're working on Volkswagens. This, I always dreamed about having one of these. First I want to show you this, of course. Brought to you by the people that brought you the flu. But, you know, USA made, Chinese, I don't know. I don't know what would be the difference. I don't think they make one of these in the US. Maybe they do. This was cheap though. It was like $35, so I bought this one. Don't know. Probably break the first time I use it. And what this does is it snags the distributor gear and the cam gear off the crank in one fell swoop. It looks very thin right there. We'll see. We'll see how it works. It probably worked pretty good. I warm those bearings, or warm those gears up. They should come right off there pretty easy. It looks pretty stout, except for that piece right here. But it has to be that thin in order to get underneath that, underneath that gear. So we'll give that a try. I've always wanted one of those. Man, if you look in one of my last videos trying to get that off in there, I was using a puller that I rented from O'Reilly's and had a bunch of this and that on it in order to make it work. Wow. You know what these are? These are the spring clips to hold your lifters in place on one half of your case, so you can turn the case over and set it down and the lifters don't fall out while you're trying to do that. That's a very handy tools too. I had one of them. Don't know where my other one. I used to have lots of Volkswagen tools. I just gave them away because I didn't have a Volkswagen. This is handy too. This looks very cheap and Chinesium, but it should do the job. This goes down in the distributor hole, and this after you pull the distributor out, and this goes into that recess in your distributor drive gear, and this pulls the distributor drive gear out. You know, it'll kind of turn when it comes out. We'll use all that along with my other tools that I have when we go to rebuild that engine. So I got that. I got a lot of other parts too that I bought. I bought all the parts to rebuild that engine. Don't have it out yet, and I don't have it apart. So I'm praying that that case does not say .020 stamped on the top of it, where somebody had taken it out and line bored it, because I bought standard bearings. But standard bearings are nice to have anyways, because you know they'll fit. Yeah, you can't see it. Fly and be free. That case. It's like, got so much crap in here. Stuff is just falling off the shelves. Now that's funny. That's funny. If you do indeed take your floor pans out, and there's a little hanger right here, and if you don't cut that off there, even if you have the hanger on there, it could be sharp and going around the corners of it. So I taped that up right there so I wouldn't slice myself open too bad on that while I'm working on the outside of this. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we'll take that engine out of there, unbolt the transmission, and we'll put this new transmission mount in right there, because I have one. I don't even have the bolts in this one, so, or nuts on it. Got to find all the parts. It's been a month since I worked on this. So there you go. Oh, incidentally, the Nissan, oh my goodness, it's like, it's beautiful. There's no puddles under it. There's no leaking antifreeze. There's no spooge and liquids pouring out of every orifice of the engine. The engine's nice and tight. And there's no planetary whine in the transmission. Transmission shifts really nice. Wow, man, that's going to be great. So come up and see you this winter, Brian. But I'll have one arm like this, though. I'll have to drive with one hand, or the wife will have to drive. Don't know that I showed you those also. And that one. And the heater channel. Like I said, I've got everything I need, I think. Pretty close. A few bits and bobs. The big stuff is bought. Okay, let's put that transmission mount in there. Dang it, I need my 1/2-inch ratchet in order to do this. And you remember I broke it. I did find a Mac dealer, and I did order a kit for it. The kit was free provided I bring it back to him. So we're going to have to rebuild this before we use that. He gave me all the parts for it. And you get USA made stuff. All right, great. Okay, let's rebuild that. I played hop trying to find a repair kit for this. So, I have a rule in my house or in my garage. And the rule is, if I still have the device, I still have the used parts. When I get rid of the device, I get rid of the used parts. So if I have a Nissan Altima, I have no use for brake shoes for a Ford Granada. And if I still have this Mack ratchet, I still have these parts. Now, are they wore out? Yeah, but there's a couple of screws in here that I can use. In the event that something might happen, might lose a screw out of it or something. You never know. You might not be able to ever get these again. It was a hard time getting these. Okay? So I'm going to keep these, put them in my toolbox. You never know. I'm not using that. I'm going to get my impact a lot easier. Sorry about the noise. I got to have a fan in here. That's strange. This is something that matters. It's bolted to the frame. Just considerably cheaper. When you're chasing taps or chasing threads with a tap, don't chuck that up into your drill, because that's 4 sides and a drill needs 3 sides. Okay? Chuck the shank up on it. Okay? You see that? Now, when the tap hooks up on something that it doesn't like, there's a clutch there. You see? And the tap just spins. It doesn't shear off. Make sure you do both sides. Don't forget your ground straps. This one goes on the new model. The new model transmission. New model transmission. New model car. It has a different mount that's closer to the transmission. This one is for the old model car. It's a little bit longer. And make sure you use your ground strap, or you'll be using your clutch cable to run all that power to start your starter. I'm going to show you how to work smart. What you have here is you have the stud that holds the Bowden cable on the side. There's 2 of them, and there's a little bracket goes on the side. I'll show you in just a second. But this is froze on there. So how are you going to get that off? Are you going to put that in a vise? Well, if you do, you're going to dink up the threads. So what you do is you put a nut on there like that. Put another nut. Then you put them in a bind. You can put them in a bind really close like this, and you can get an advantage, and you can really put them in a bind. Okay? Now you've got that like that. You take your wrench, put that right there, then you take your impact. Let's see if I can do this. Come on, Granny. You're giving me the breeze for. Oop. Oh, I know. What we'll do is we'll put the box stem down there. It'll be a little bit easier. Anyways, you think it's going to work, but alright, what we'll do is we'll put a bite on that and we'll put it in the vise, and then we'll get it loose, because I can't hold it with my hands. I managed to get it off. I had to put some heat on it, but then it came off. The nut came off after I did that. How do you put the studs in? You put them in this way. You bind up the nuts on them, and then you turn them in. You do the same thing with your head studs too. This will work the same way with your head stud. This works with all studs, actually. Works pretty good. I don't know how far this is going to go in, but I'm going to leave enough room for this and a washer and a nut. And I think that probably ought to be okay right there. That'd probably be alright. Dan, why don't you just buy new fasteners? You could have just put a couple of bolts in there and everything would have been fine. 2 reasons. 1 is aesthetics. It's the original stuff. And 2, the Chinese bolts that you're going to buy these days, provided these aren't corroded really bad. You know, steel doesn't have a half-life. So, I'm using the original studs, the original warpy washers, and the original nuts. And if I screw something up, I have a whole other transmission, bad transmission, that I can take parts from. So why wouldn't I? Speaking of which, this one was grody and scrody, so I took the one that came with this transmission and put on there. And yeah, there you go. I can keep that for spare or something. Maybe one of my buddies needs one. Who knows? While I'm back here, I'm going to take the throwout bearing off. Now, I've already unhooked it from the whatever that is, the rod there. And the springs, they point up. So, that's a German one. And it's okay. It was a little crusty first before I started turning it. But I'm going to put a new one in here. That way I don't have to pull my engine back out to change a screaming bearing. This came in my clutch kit. It's a German-made Sachs throwout bearing. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put this camera down. I'll pull this back like this and hook those springs around that little claw right there, and then she'll be fine. If you disconnect your spring with a pair of vice grips, you can pull this all the way as far as you want to go now, and it makes it delightfully easy to put your throwout bearing on, and then you just pull your spring back around. You just have to push this around and clip it on there. I can't do it with one hand. If you use a screwdriver, you can work both hands and work this back and forth, and you'll be able to pull this around onto where it needs to go. While I'm back here, I'm going to take my shocks off. Now, it looks like they've been leaking, but it's not. That's some stuff I sprayed on there. But they're still good. This one is anyways. I'm going to look at the other one. They got some corrosion on them, but I'm just going to sand them a little bit and throw a little paint on it and call it good. And if the front are the same way, and I don't see why they shouldn't be, I don't see any leaks. So they're probably good. And a new set of shocks from Wolfsburg, the correct ones anyways, are like $130, something like that, and that's $130 I don't have. These are 50 years old, made by Bogey, and they haven't lost their mojo. They really knew how to make things then. Okay, I gave them a little what for on the wire wheel, and we're going to shoot a little matte clear on it, and we're going to call them good. I didn't have any matte clear, so I'll have to get some. And this is the only way I can think of doing this. So I'll have to fidget with this and try to get this threaded on there. I really need the proper tool. I don't have it. I think I can use this if I tighten it up and chase those threads. Again, I'm not dyeing anything, I'm just chasing the threads. So it shouldn't put too much stress on it. And I shouldn't tear that dye up too badly. It had a few tough spots, but once I got her down there, I managed to do it with the big pliers and a little bit of liquid wrench. So I think that we can put that nut on there. Now I'm not going to torque these down or put keys in them because I don't have the body on the vehicle, and I don't have... Yeah, that'll work fine. So I don't have a lot of weight on this, so I can't put a lot of oomph on it. So I'm going to work on that a little bit, clean it up, and I'll do the other one as well. And then what we'll do is we'll tackle the shift rod bushing and put the shifter back in so that thing shifts. So that should finish the transmission, and then we can work on the joints. He said joints. Okay, I've pushed everything back a little bit to give me a little bit more room up front, because we're going to take that shift rod out of there. And of course it's already disconnected from the transmission here, right there. And there's a plate in the front that we're going to disconnect. I pull the screws out of it, I just got to pry the plate off. Now on 68 and up cars, they have a round hole underneath the hood, and you take that little plate off and you can get it through there. 67 and older cars, I don't know. I know I took the shift rod out of my 67, but I had the body off, so I never had to finagle it out of there. I imagine there's a way to get it in there where you tip it a little bit and it comes down, or something like that. And then they added the access point to it later, so it wasn't so hard. But we're going to replace the shift rod bushing in there. We're going to leave that plate off also, because we're going to get up in there and have a look and see how much rust is in there. And we're probably going to do a 90 weight treatment in there too. That way I can get a brush up in there and brush all that 90 weight up in there. Help to preserve it, you know, keep it from rusting from the inside out. So let's push that shaft. He said shaft out of the front there. I forgot to tell you, you have to take that off. Yeah, I'm gonna grab that with something. You know, something with like a little hook or something. It's just a piece of brass brazing rod. And away we go. There you go. Now let's get that bushing out of there. If there's even a bushing in there left. Let's see here. Nope, just a rod, just a ring, no bushing. There's what's left of the bushing. I'll see if I can fish it out of there. Here's the old one, there's the new one. Or wait a minute, maybe that's the new one. Huh. Okay, so it's going to go in there like this. Okay, it just clips in there. This little hole right here, this little slot right here, there's a tab that's welded on the inside here. I don't know if you can see it. See the hole? Just a piece of sheet metal. And that's where that goes, so you have to push it in there. Sometimes you can do one of these numbers and you can make it go in there a little easier. And then you grease it up and your shift rod goes back in there. Stops all that sloppiness, and it's 98 cents from Rock Auto. The slot should go to the top. Since the rod is resting on the bottom, you want as much purchase as you can get on the bottom, because that's gravity, you know. Okay, let's grease that up, and we'll put the rod through there. You can reach your arms out between here and there and work that into there. Incidentally, I've known people who have taken that rod out and had it powder coated, because the powder coating on it, if it's wore off, makes a difference on the thickness of the diameter of the shaft and how it fits into that tube or into that little plastic piece. Believe it or not. So let's get that in there. We'll push it all the way back, grease it up, and we'll hook it back up to our transmission. Wait, take it back out. I forgot the spring clip. Take it back out. I forgot, that's on the end of the shaft, so I took it off. It's supposed to be right on the end of that. There's a little lip there. Put a screwdriver in there, and then you can just let it go down in there, and then just work it around there with another screwdriver, and it goes on the outside of that plastic, and yeah, that way you won't lose it if you have a screwdriver in there, but that's got to go on there. Yeah, no, I took the whole thing out so I could put it on there. It's a lot easier. Now I'm going to just put this back in there and we'll put the shift rod in. I know you won't believe this, but if this isn't up, when you have this in there, if you've got it turned around, you're not going to get your shifter in there. Okay, so I had to kind of hold on to the end here with a pair of pliers and tighten that up with a wrench. And now we're going to look for our set screw and our wire that goes around there and our plate that goes on the top. Aesthetics. I want it to look like nobody's been in there. Put that same wire back on there. Same plate. Same screw. Wonderful. Let's put the shifter on. Nice. Okay. Let's work on those now. See them hiding? I don't think they want to be worked on because they're hiding. Okay, we have our joint in the clamp here. What we're going to do is we're going to change these boots, repack them with grease, clean the joint, kind of examine it a little bit, and replace the grease. I got these for $12, Rock Auto, and they come with a boot, a clamp, grease, and new screws, a new ring, and I think a new clip, yes, and new caps. You can't, no, not caps, just the two rings, washer in the ring rather. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we have to clean this off and get this clip off of here. So we'll get the clip off, and then we'll try to pound that out of there, the shaft out. Take that clip or that off there too, so the whole thing will come down a little bit. I'm using a pair of snap ring pliers to pry that apart, and then I'm putting a screwdriver underneath it, and I'm going to kind of work that clip off around there, and I'm going to put a piece of paper towel over it when it does that so it doesn't go flying all the way into the next county. I've had to take the joint apart. You kind of wobble it, and then you pull a couple of bearings out, and then you wobble it the other way, and it pulls a couple of bearings out. One side wouldn't come out. This side will come out. And all I care about is one side. Because you can put the boot on the other side. You can clean the joint on the other side. You can do all the other stuff without removing the joint from the other side. Now I'm going to make sure I have this is the correct way, and I'm going to keep this up all the time, and we're going to clean this, examine the balls, and we're going to want to make sure that none of those balls are black. I'm going to make sure they're shiny and not too worn. Now these, kind of a greasy mess. These are original, and if you get one side off, you can press the other side on. You can push the other side, the other boot on. So there you go. So you have to get one or the other. This joint here goes to this, and I'm keeping my parts separated. So let me. Lordy, am I greasy? Look at that. Look at that mess. Okay. Try to shut this off without getting too much grease on the camera. Okay, see how shiny these balls are? Okay, you don't want black balls, okay? Black or scratched. You need to be wanting black balls. You need to be wanting mothballs or beer nuts either. Nope, no. You want shiny, nice like that aren't scored up. And if your balls are nice and shiny, then the races are also going to be nice and shiny. And the receiver on the other side of the race is going to be nice and shiny too. Another thing you want to look for is you want to make sure the cage is not cracked. I don't know what that was. It just fell out. Oh, I know what that is. That's the washer that goes underneath there. Sorry. There's a washer that goes up underneath there first. So we want to look at all that stuff and make sure that's clean and shiny, and then we're going to put it all back together. We're going to put these boots on first, and then clean up all our joints, and then we're going to repack them with grease, and then we'll have one side done. But here's the caveat. There's two sides. All right, we fought both of our boots on. We made sure that this it's a washer, but it's a warpy washer, and the warpy washer is going up to make a spring. The proof mark goes on the outside. There's a proof mark, you'll see, goes on the outside. Our balls are cleaned, our races are clean, and things look okay, and our cages aren't broken, so we're ready to assemble. You can use a socket. The outside is going to be the spot without the little chamfer here. And the little chamfer, what it does is the metal part goes in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to caulk this a little bit on there. Just make sure that that's going to work right. I think that's correct. No, that don't look correct. Let's turn this around. That's correct. The chamfer side goes on the outside, and it's what fits in the pocket. It fits in the pocket of the axle, the drive axle. So, think about things when you're doing stuff. And if they don't look right, then don't do it. If it slides on there and it's all sloppy, something's wrong. So, I've even put these together. Oh Lord, I've even put these together with. I've put these together with the boots on the wrong side. Get it all together in one of the boots is backwards. So yeah, you want to share your stories. What I do is I put one on either side like this. Okay, and then I try to finagle that. Try to finagle that in there. Then I can, let's see here, then I can tip it, and I can get one in there and one in there, just maybe. Go on the other side. Yeah, I think I've got this backwards. It only goes on there one way, so you have to finagle around with it in order to get it on there. And I'm not going to do that in front of you because I get frustrated, say all kinds of bad words. While I was working on one, the other one came all apart, and it went back and forth like that until I taped it up. So tape up one, and then I fought with this one, fought with this one, fought with this one until I got it so it works. They got to be clean. They can't have a piece of nothing in there. And I started with one ball and then I worked around best way I could. And I didn't move this so much as I moved the cage inside. So if you have to do anything more than tap it a little bit, yeah, something's wrong and you need to re-look at it. I just used some liquid wrenches, some lubricant. It was a god-awful mess. I was fighting with it for at least an hour. So I'm going to pack those and then get this one on the car. Start out with an axle that looks like that. You got your grease in it. You've got 4 on either side bolts in it. You've got the little, the little pieces that go these. And make sure that you use your lock nuts. See those little lock nuts? They're little serrated washers. They're really handy. And see what I did wrong? Well, these right here, I've got them spaced opposite. Instead of there being 3, see there's 6 holes, so 2, 4, 6, you know? And yeah, I don't have them right, so I gotta take them back apart again, take them back out again. Okay, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'm gonna straighten that axle out and put the bolts back in it, and we'll be done. And clean up out here. Yeah, it's a long, hard day. Well, thanks for coming out here and wrenching with me and fooling around with Volkswagen. And little by little, you know, every day you do a little something on it, you'll have it done. Alright, see you guys later. Peace.